weather, some people might have a little rock and roll pneumonia.
You wanted the best, you got the best from my home studio on Long Island, New York. Welcome to Ian Scotto Rocks. I am your host, Ian Scotto. And I don't even know what I'm going to say in this video. This video is going to be a little different than many of my videos just because I feel I owe it to you guys who are wondering, where the hell have you been, man? There was a point where I was putting up videos basically every day, and now I haven't put up a video in 2 weeks, and people are like, how are you not talking about KISS with the Kennedy Center honors and all that great stuff? And then in not so great news, we've had the death of Brent Hines, for example. I could have done a video on that. And, people will sometimes say things have run their course, or I have like other creative outlets that I'm working on. And oftentimes I feel like people are full of shit when they say that, because I think, unfortunately, many times it goes back to money. And that's the case for me right now. And for those who don't know me, for the past 10 years, I've managed to get by, right? Maybe not comfortably, but I've been fine without having a full 9-to-5 job, which I'm eternally grateful for. I really am, It all started when I left SiriusXM to pursue working with Brandon Webb over at SoftRep. And basically my job was just to do a podcast twice a week in the city, and I was cool with that. Some people are like, what are you doing with the rest of your time? And it's like, I'm enjoying my time. I'm not someone who needs to constantly be working, and if I'm able to get by working less, I'm perfectly comfortable doing that. I was doing some voiceover here and there. Once things happened there, and I still have a good relationship with Brandon, but internal things with the company is why I left. I then got my personal trainer certification, did that. And then in more recent years, I've continued to work for this company that I was doing writing stories for, doing podcasts for. I was basically the executive on that network, which I don't want to talk about in depth because, I don't know, it might be considered like inner drama type of thing of why that's not going on. And then I worked as originally a executive assistant for a guy at a cybersecurity company, which became me doing a podcast with him. And ironically, we spoke a lot about AI in the future and how AI is taking people's jobs in the future and where things headed from here. And I knew it would impact me, maybe not as soon as it did, because once I was let go from that job, at the beginning of this year, I got a really great voiceover gig with Ortho. And there is nothing cooler in the world than voiceover, truly, in that you do a session for 30 minutes to an hour. They have you read things different ways, and then you get a nice fat check in the mail a couple months later. And it really doesn't get better than that. And I was like, cool. This year is going to start off good, because and it's going to be a good year, because I really believe in what I'm doing with Ian Scotto Rocks, and I see videos getting tens of thousands of views. We have videos that are 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 views, which is awesome. And some of those right off the bat, the LA Guns video, the Ozzy video, some of those early videos did killer numbers, and I was like, I think we're going to grow from here. And we've had videos that have done really well and even better than those, but we also have videos that have gone nowhere, and that's just the truth. So what I've seen, and what I would say, once again, I have no script here, guys, so I'm just kind of speaking extemporaneously, if I'm using the word correctly, was that I felt like this year it would be some combination of voiceover, writing the stories that I do for the network I was doing, and Ian Scotto Rocks Battle Line podcast. And all of those things I've seen AI really beat down a little bit, just going one by one. With Battle Line Podcast, we lost one of our big sponsors. Still going well, still have videos doing well on there, but it hasn't grown. We've plateaued, but we have certain videos that do well. We have a video that just hit 100,000 views there, so that's cool. We don't have anything yet on Ian Scotto Rocks that's hit 100,000 views, but typically that platform does better on audio. All right. The network I was working for, I just noticed the work had slowed down more and more, despite me saying I wanted to be doing more. And then I noticed they didn't want to use my writing anymore. And I was getting back these really pieces that weren't up to par with the stuff that I write. I consider myself a good writer. And then suddenly I got stuff that, like, it was better, but they were being pumped out so quick that I was like, something's up here. And of course, you run it through a detector and you go, oh, these are all written by AI. So they're going to phase me out. And then if they phase me out with the writing part, pretty soon they'll phase me out with the voiceover part. And that's just, it sucks, man. I see it with my colleagues on LinkedIn in the voiceover industry. People who have done major ads are now like going online, and it's like, we need people to train AI for $5 to read this script, $10 here. So you're gonna pay me pennies to like phase me out? With all due respect, go fuck yourself. I don't want to do anything having to do with AI, and I'm not one of these people who believes it's going to make our lives simpler, because it's pretty simple for me to do a voiceover gig here and there and make some good money, and that's really ramping down, man. I'm doing my best. I'm auditioning for everything, but that's getting screwed a little bit. With Ian Scotto Rocks, we have videos doing well, but the truth is I've always wanted this to be like a high production show, so I do have people do great thumbnails, and Basilius is one of the best video editors, as was Harold, who did the original videos, and I want to pay them properly. So I'm not really pulling a profit here. And until you're doing videos that are regularly reaching like 50 to 100K, you're not making that much revenue. And I was hoping within the first year we could get to that. And I do think some of that is AI, right? Even if YouTube is phasing out and demonetizing the AI generated videos, I could very easily have AI write the deep dives for me and edit a few things here and there so that's not completely done by AI. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cheapen the brand for you guys. I'm not going to ruin my credibility. I like reading the books that I read and the articles I read and going back in the archives to put out the best stuff for you. And I think that's why people gravitate especially to those deep dives. So that's impacted just everything that I've been working on to basically combine to make a decent income, enough at least to pay for this apartment and get by, is shrinking. And I just came to the conclusion last month that I was like, I've been avoiding it, but I'm just going to have to jump into something else and get a different job. Like all my colleagues I worked with at SiriusXM, there's people on there since early this year who have, you go to their LinkedIn and it's the looking for work thing. I didn't want to be that guy. So I am now working as an account executive for a company totally outside my wheelhouse. Truthfully, not what I want to do. I think I'll thrive in it. I think I'll make more money than I have probably ever at this job. And that's cool, but I'm not someone driven by money. And we need money, as all of us do. And everything is getting more expensive. Why I'm a huge believer in Bitcoin. But I just realized this is what I'm going to have to do. And unfortunately, what that means is I can't put up a video as soon as news breaks. And I'm not going to spend the only days I have free writing deep dives. I'm not. Hopefully at some point, maybe I'll do one here or there, but I can't every weekend be working on a deep dive for something that may go somewhere and may not. And sometimes just the luck of the draw, too. Someone did a video about a topic that I did months ago and is killing it. I did a video about Fear Factory and how they predicted the rise of AI, very much what we're talking about. And didn't do well on here because you guys are predominantly 80s hair metal, so that's what I try to focus on, and Kiss. Someone else did a video on the exact same topic. Not saying they copied me. Maybe they were inspired. They're doing great because they're a bigger channel. So it's the luck of the draw on some of this stuff, but it was just like, unfortunately, this is where things are. And I kind of manifested this life where I was like, I never want to work a 9 to 5 again. And I worked for a major news network for less than a week. And I was telling Brandon Webb this the last time I saw him, 2 summers ago, I think it was. And I was like, yeah, I couldn't do the whole like commuting to the city again to work 8 hours, then commute back. And he said, yeah, you got a taste of freedom when you worked for me, and you're never going to want to go back. And that's the truth. And I never have had to go back until now. And I do blame it on AI. That's just the truth. So, this is no, like, woe is me type of thing, but this is where I'm at right now. As Basilius knows, I was thinking of moving to Florida, and I came very close to it over early in the summer, late spring. And maybe the reason I didn't is because I would need to just work this job right now. But I just feel like this may be my last chapter here in New York until that ramps down. And I've always wanted to move there. But what I want to be doing is doing great content. That's what I'm here to do. I've been in media for nearly 20 years, and I have no problem saying I think I'm one of the best at it. This is just, and it's not to say I have some amazing gift, because I think we all have these God-given gifts. And for me, I love creating content, writing these deep dives that I've done. And to me, like, this right here was the best platform for me. And I don't want to say was, because I'm going to continue to have some presence on here. But for right now, I just can't afford for it to be what it was. And that doesn't mean there won't be some type of breakthrough in the future. And I guess I'll leave you with this. I love reading up on and learning about kind of the C-list and D-list 80s hair metal bands past their prime, right? Who played the arenas and then had to humble themselves to play the smaller clubs. And I like hearing about, like, the grind. But especially like hearing about the guys who kind of like found another lane to get involved in and continue to thrive. And hopefully I'll be one of those people, man. I don't want to look at myself as a has-been who once had like things going on and now I'm just working a 9 to 5. That's not what I ever aspired to be. But I was thinking about Steve Rochelle, and I interviewed him on Appetite for Distortion years back. And he talked about when, for his band Tough, when things just started to go downhill, 90s, right? Mid 90s and to the late 90s. And he spoke about that he was doing a set out in Hollywood. I think it was an acoustic set with some other guys from that scene, smaller club. And he was telling the editor-in-chief of, or he was telling a friend, hey, could you let the editor-in-chief of Metal Edge know, like, maybe put something out in the magazine and get the word out? And she said, like, man, doesn't he get that it's over? Like, the scene is dead. It's over. Well, why is he even trying anymore? And he got word of that, and it really pissed him off. And it lit a fire under his ass. And that's actually how he started Metal Sludge, which was a huge inspiration for this channel. So, yeah, there may be more cool stuff around the horizon, but it's funny. The rapper Mad Child once said, like, you can't, I don't remember the exact words. Like, you can't pay the rent off getting mad props on Facebook, and you can't always pay the rent off getting, like, a lot of great comments here on YouTube. Stuff that really meant a lot to me deeply. When I talked about the death of Adam Ramey, which, by the way, the new Dropout Kings album, phenomenal, contender for album of the year for me. The fact that his mother commented on that and had positive things to say, and feel so sorry for her. But like stuff like that meant a lot. And you guys who have bought merch, and for all of you, I want to continue doing this channel. And my dream would be to do it on a regular basis, several times a week, have all killer, no filler content for you. But I sort of get it now why people who are even creatives come home from a 9 to 5 and they're just drained and they sit on the couch and watch the Met game or the Islander game. And I'm going to be that guy, truthfully, for a little bit, because you do feel drained after the job that I'm at right now. And I'm going to find a way to still get exercise, because I don't want to be a guy who's, gets into terrible shape. And I'm truthfully not in the best shape I've been in, and I thought I would be. But part of that was focusing on this right here and making this the best thing possible. But I'm just not going to have the time for it. So I need to make the time for it. And I also need to make the time for Battle Line Podcast and Ian Scotto Rocks. But there's only so much of like that battery you have. And guys, I'm 39. Like, you don't have the energy. Like, you'll realize at this age, you don't have the energy you had at 25 to like really work on a new project when you're also working a 9 to 5. Now, for me, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, so that does leave me a little time to make sure I at least keep this channel going, and you never know which video is going to take off. Maybe it's this video. Probably not, because this is not what you guys come here for, and this is not like what the algorithm points to, but it's just me being real. It's just me being straight up with you guys of where I'm at, and sometimes you could manifest like a dream scenario for yourself, which I sort of had going on, but I was also just getting by. I think there was a lot of sacrifice when you give up a 9 to 5 to chase your passions, and it could come crumbling down sometimes. I don't want to say I'm like going through it, because look, there's people who are really going through some shit. That's not me. But this is a downturn in terms of my career, in terms of like what I feel most passionate about. But look, I know my friend Brando from Appetite for Distortion, he's got a regular full-time job and has managed to keep that channel going really strong. So I'll try to do what I can now and again for you guys, especially like if news breaks on a weekend, but that's where we're at. If I could continue to get content up now and again and the numbers can rise, maybe this can be what I really focus my energy on. But for right now, that's where we're at. And I just wanted to be real with you. A lot of podcasts, a lot of podcasters are feeling the same way right now. You know, Jamie Josta, his show's been on hiatus. Great show. But the numbers haven't been there for him. And that's just the truth. I've met him, but like Doc Coyle, formerly of Bad Wolves, formerly, God forbid, his show is on hiatus. And that was doing decent numbers a few years back. And I don't know the reasons all these guys are saying, but let's be real here. It all boils down to money, because nothing could be cooler than doing videos about the content that you're truly passionate about. And I'm so passionate about what I talk about on Ian Scotto Rocks. If the money was coming in, I would be doing this as often as possible. But it's not right now. And those are the breaks. Hopefully I could be back giving you guys some more content, but I owed it to all of you to give an update after 2 weeks away. And I didn't want it to turn into 2 months away, or has been it's actually, I think it's been a whole month, right? It's been a whole month, so not 2 weeks. But, you know, I didn't want it to be 3-6 months until I give you guys an update. Hopefully the next video you see on this channel is some type of news or something interesting going on. And I know I said I'll leave it at here minutes ago, but I think I'll leave it at this. There's a lot of great music coming out that I'm really into. Deftones just put out a brand new album. Haven't gotten a chance to listen to the full thing. Dropout Kings and that band Scary Kids, Scaring Kids, terrible band name, but they're great. They just put out a new album that's really killer. So cool stuff to look forward to. A lot of great channels here on YouTube doing great rock content. So there's no shortage of that. But I'd like to be in the fold as much as these guys. And I just wanted to be real with you and let you know why it's really not possible at the moment. If you can, leave a comment, like the video. All of that stuff greatly helps the algorithm. And let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're going through a similar thing, or if you have some ideas of where we can go with this. And I don't want to see the channel die, so I'm going to do my best to, every now and again, keep something coming on here.